Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to the 39th CALLERLAB Convention here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today is Tuesday, April 3rd, 2012. My name is Ken Ritucci. I reside in West Springfield, Massachusetts. We have a great panel with me today. To my far left is Deborah Carroll-Jones from Texas. Her husband, Jon Jones, who was here and will be back. And we hopefully we'll have Mr. Marshall Flippo joining us as well. So you're in for a treat the next hour or so. We have legends of our activity that know all about cadence calling. And the title of this seminar is called Cadence Calling. There is a handout over here to my far left that Deborah put together. So if you don't have one, please make sure you pick one up. We will be talking about cadence calling. We'll be showing you examples of what cadence calling is all about. And if you have questions, we will get them on the microphone because this session is being taped. And we want to make sure that your questions get on the tape as well. As an introduction of what cadence calling is, some people don't really understand. They don't know what the word cadence means. I get that all the time at my callers' schools. And so it's also been known as chant calling. I know we've had some sessions here in the past. Deborah's done a few of them. And we've called it chanting, chant calling. Another name for it, of course, is cadence calling. During my personal education of growing up as a caller, I learned it as the term cadence. And basically what it is, it's a rhythmic flow of how we project our calling. It's a calling style. And back in the 60s and 70s, and probably at least through maybe the late 80s, and maybe it might have touched into the early 90s, cadence calling was the style of calling that most callers used. It was basically what was taught. A lot of it had to do with the complexity of the choreography at the time. Back in the 60s and 70s, the 70s had a lot of challenge dancing, and it was starting to grow and boom. But before that, a lot of our calling was to the mainstream program or pre-CALLERLAB, the Basic 75. And so there was a lot of style that was very similar. You know, we would say things like up to the middle and back you reel, pass through, and a wheel and deal. And the dancers would anticipate the wheel and deal because it would rhyme. It was a rhythmic flow. And the key was it was an enjoyable way of calling. And we sort of have gotten away from cadence calling. You don't really hear much cadence calling anymore. I can vouch for that personally. I travel all over the United States and even over in Europe a little bit, and I run several caller schools a year. We do introduce cadence calling. I feel that as any caller should at least have a knowledge of what it is. And most of the questions I get asked after the presentations is, how do you learn cadence? How do you learn this? And I wish we could sit here and tell you, you learn it by just listening to this tape, take this pill, and you're going to have cadence calling. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Cadence calling is near and dear to my heart. And later on, I'll get up and show you, I'll demonstrate to you what, some of the things that I do with it. Jon and Deborah, of course, are going to show and talk about, how they handle it. But it's sort of a dying art. And when I use it sporadically at dances now, every once in a while I'll call on the upbeat, and I'll show you what I mean about calling on the upbeat later. Dancers will come up to me later and they'll usually say, what was that hiccuping thing you did there? And they don't know what it is, but they enjoy it. And it's different. The style that we have mainly today, and this is certainly not a knock on the style because I happen to call this way as well. I think the nature of the beast through the last 15 years has just dictated it, is basically having some music playing. We put on our pattern music whether it's a square dance piece of music or it's a non-square dance piece of music. It really doesn't matter. And then we voice the commands and we call. Now, as they teach you in caller school, it's more important that the dancers hear the command than they hear all the patter or the filler words. You could overdo cadence calling. You can do too much of it. You can, as Earl Johnston used to say, you can have diarrhea of the mouth, where you just run off and off and off, and it confuses the dancers. So you don't want to overdo it, but the needle has gone all the way to the other side, where we, for the most part, most callers just don't do it at all anymore. And the newer callers that are coming up, they don't even know what it is. They don't know what the word cadence means. They don't know what chant calling is. And I feel they've missed out on or are missing out on a big part of what calling's all about. Because it's not just choreography. It's not just resolution. It's not just learning the words to a singing call. It's not just smooth dancing. It's part of our repertoire of sounding professional like a square dance caller. Remember, when you get up on that stage, you are a caller, you are an entertainer. Using some cadence and some rhythmic flow in your delivery of your calling style is, in some ways, showmanship. Now, I don't stand up there and think, okay, now I'm going to do showmanship. I never think that, because I'm not the world's greatest showman. There are many that are in that category. That's not me. But cadence, or calling on the upbeat, and we will give you examples of these, and using the rhythmic flow of your music. If callers practiced their patter music as much as they practice their singing calls, we'd probably have more cadence calling. But it's gotten to the point where we learn our singing calls, we want to learn singing calls, we want to keep buying new music and do these singing calls, and sometimes the pattern music that we use is an after fact, okay? But your pattern music's one half of your tip, isn't it? And it's, or more, I mean, it's one half, but it's longer time-wise than your singing call. And lots of times we don't spend that much time on the part that we spend the most time up there calling. We're so in tune of learning the singing call and learning the words. And that's important, don't get me wrong. But cadence calling is of the utmost importance, and it's very difficult. I wouldn't say it's difficult. I shouldn't say that. It takes a lot of practice. You either want to do it or you don't. And unfortunately, right now, our society in modern Western square dancing is not reflected that way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just telling you the way it is. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Jon Jones. Jon is going to, if anyone, he's one of the masters of cadence calling. He remembers the good old days, and Jon's talked about this subject many times. So, Mr. Jon Jones.
Thank you, Ken. Honor your partner in the lay-by side and all join hands and circle out wide. Honor your partner in your corner, salute and circle to the left, go lickety-scoop. Bow to your partner in your corner, two, and circle to the left, go 2 by 2. These are openers. Bow to your partner in the corner of the hall and circle to the left, go south, y'all. Join hands and circle south and get a little moonshine in your mouth. If you don't like moonshine, lose sunshine. Right and left grand, hand over hand and around you meet. Take your girl and promenade a suite. Now you're right and now you're wrong, and swing your honey and a promenade along. Up the river and around the bend and to meet your honey and gone again. Here's Sal and here's old Sue, and swing that girl that came with you, and a hand over hand and a don't look back, and to make your feet go wickety-whack. No, I ain't reading the whole book. I'll read what I want to. Promenade, go round the town like a jaybird walking on the frozen ground. And promenade, go round the room while the roosters crow and the birdies sing. I love my wife and I love my baby and I like my biscuits topped in gravy. Eyed red, I ain't no fool, rode to town on a humpback mule. Now that's what cadence and chant calling is about. I've had a little hand before, but that's about as little as I've ever had. I thought maybe y'all had gone to sleep since we had lunch. I'm part Native American Indian. You ever been to an Indian powwow? Anybody? They didn't stand there and say, hey, 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 ho, 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 beating on the drum, hi, hi, how are you today? Isn't that extremely boring to have to listen to? The American Indians are the ones that originated chanting. Hey, hi, ho, hey, hey, hi, ho, hey, hi, ho, hey, ho, ho. It's in a tone that's above your talking voice. And callers who don't chant, in my opinion, are not callers, they're talkers. And I'm not talking about the talkers that were used in World War II either, to confuse the Japanese with it, but those are code talkers, the Navajo code talkers. But chanting is getting in rhythm with the piece of music that you might happen to be. Mr. Marshall Flippo just walked in. He finally found the room. Welcome, Mark. Give Marshall a good hand.
Marshall Flippo.
Too many hermitages, is it? Now, right and left grand, up the creek and around the bend, and to meet your honey and gone again. I said I had a read a while ago, and let's see, there was one with a bingo, and 6 penny high, and a little pig, a big pig, a root hog, or die. A promenade, a car, a miss, a kiss, a curve. He kissed the miss and missed the curve. You'll have to listen to the recording to interpret all that when you get it out. But that's the way I learned to call, and listening to other callers doing the chanting that we have. It's a rhythm that you get into. It's a harmonic with the piece of music. Play Up the Creek. I think every caller should have this piece of music in your repertoire, and especially newer callers. Up the Creek and Cracker Jacks on Blue Star, and Buddy Weaver has redone it. This is the new version of New Cut, Up the Creek. Listen to that thing. If you can't call in rhythm with that piece of music, and the dancers dance in rhythm with that piece of music, then they can't dance and you can't call. It's just that easy. It's in the key of F. It ain't but 2 chords in it all the way through. If you listen to it, he's on one chord, switch to another. Here. Going up Cripple Creek on the run, going up Cripple Creek to have a little fun. That's the name of the tune, and Norman Murbar called it Up the Creek when he recorded it. And like I said, Cracker Jack's on the other side, but it's on a CD now, or MP3, what? Both. Little bow to your partner in the corner of the hall. Circle to the left, go south, y'all. Circle up, feet, and around you go. Bust it up, dough. Pass a little more dough. And a chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Back to your honey, make an alley man bar. And them into the middle with the backup star. And you back along up in a Cadillac car. Slip the clutch, left alley man. Here we come in a right on left grand. I'd have read, I ain't no fool. Rode to town on a humpback mule. Promenade in a little red flag. And a hind wheel off an axle drag. And get along home and swing and whirl around and around with a pretty little girl. You say, good God Almighty, look at all the words you're saying. When do you breathe? You learn where to take a breath. Pardon me? I thought I heard somebody say, with any talking, we got to get on the microphone, okay? Because it's all recorded. That's what chanting is. It's not bow to your partner, corner 2, circle left. That's prompting, in my opinion. Alley man to left, right and left grand, promenade. I think we all ought to learn it. We work on it in our caller school. Callers that don't know how to do it, by the time our caller school is over with, they can chant, because we work with them until they can find it. Okay? And what I was doing is flipping through pages up here on a book that I put together. And Flippo, Melton Luttrell, Frank Lane, Al Tex Brownlee, Deborah and me, and we put all this information together because it wasn't available anywhere anymore, to my knowledge. And so we put this little booklet together, And Palomino Records has some in the booth over there, a very limited number that are for, I think they're $7.95 for the book, and you're welcome to purchase some over there. If they run out, they can send you one. But if you don't have one of these, you might want to take a look at it and see if you'd like to purchase it. And Flippo had a big input into that. Flippo still says more words than any caller in the business today while he's calling.
Not since I got my false teeth. No, since I got my false teeth, I don't say many words at all.
And I'll tell a story on him. When he started calling, he had a problem keeping rhythm. And he's told me this story himself. And he said that Nisa, his wife, told him, said, well, you can pat your foot in rhythm with the music, can't you? Yeah, didn't have any problem doing that. She said, well, say something every time you pat your foot. So he got started to doing that, and today he still says more words while he's calling than anybody else. And I'm going to turn it back to you or to Flip.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, John. Well, we're going to turn it to Mr. Flippo, who's going to give us some words of wisdom on cadence calling. And I started out, Flip, by saying how the style of calling has changed in the last 15 or 20 years, that you don't hear as much cadence calling anymore. But it's sort of like a dying art, and some of us want to keep it going because it's all part of being a professional square dance caller. Mr. Marshall Flippo. Say something.
Thank you, I think. No, I don't know. I learned most of this from a very good friend of mine named J.C. Wilson. J.C. passed away last year, but he was older than me. The only guy I know that is older than me. Great, great caller. The first time I ever seen him, I was a kid pulling a dog. And he was a great guy. He went to McMurray College, and a bunch of us kids used to hang around McMurray College. And so one time some big guy, I guess the dean or somebody, come out and said, you guys got any animals? I said, I got a dog. So what we need, we're going to have an opera. It's going to be outdoors. And said we need a lot of animals. So I took my dog, and a whole bunch of other kids had dogs and cats, and one guy had a goat. And we're supposed to parade around while this guy was singing. Well, later on, I found out the guy was J.C. Wilson. J.C. was one of the greatest callers ever. I've seen him call to 15 squares and dance at the same time with no amplification. And everybody heard it. He had one of those, operating, I guess, really projected out there pretty good. But he had a lot of those things that he got off of Burma Shave signs. And like a car miss, a kiss the curve, a kiss the miss the curve. That was off one of those Burma Shave signs. Anybody remember Burma Shave signs? Yeah. Well, he got a lot of them off of there, and so I said, do you mind if I use them? He said, no, I'll write them down for you if you want me to. So he did, and he had a lot of good things with a Ningo Bingo, 6-penny high, little pig, a big pig, a root organized, things like that was all on a Burma Shave sign. And so then you pick up some other stuff that you, I guess, is this what you want me to talk about, or what do you want me to talk about?
You're doing a great job.
Okay. And I'm almost through. And then you make up some of your own. And I got one from old, what's his face? He's not even a caller. He wrote the score for Big River in New York. What? Country Western guy. Roger Miller. I got one from him. I haven't been using it about a year now. Said she had one big breast in the middle of her chest and an eye in the middle of her nose. So, says I, if you look her in the eye, it's better off looking up her nose. Now, that'll time out just right with Relay the Doocy. It's some dirty looks, but I think they're fun, and JC had 1 million of them, and great guy. And you through? I am. I don't know. Is there anything else that I'm supposed to say? Well, you said some of them, and that's in the book. It's in the book. I'd read she ain't no fool. She can put a saddle on a humpback mule. And now if you ask me to do it, if I'm not calling, I don't even think of them. They don't. Oh, I don't want to call. Well, I can't do that.
Hello. Say something, Flip.
Let me think. Give me the book.
You don't remember him?
Oh, let's see. For the Tampax, huh?
Oh yeah, Flip.
Oh yeah, way down yonder where the frog jumped up and his tail popped off. I can't get on. Nobody's moving. There she goes. No. Oh, good God.
Yep. Quickly.
Bow to your partner, corner girl, circle of the left, go around the world, circle of the left. Reverse trail the other way back, single file, lady in the lead, the boy run wild. Girls step out, take a back track. Boys step in behind you, date, make a right-hand star, star all 8. Girls roll out around one man, then Alabama left, the left hand, the grand old right, and the left her around. Stomp the floor, you gotta kick around, you gotta meet that gal and hook on now. Promenade around to go, the big one up, a little one low, you promenade back home to go, and the head is square through 4. When you get there now, step to a wave and relay the doozy. Just keep on going, meet a gal with petticoat showing, meet a gal with a holder stocking, shoestring flying, petticoat flopping, swing through, AC-doozy. And a right and left grand, every other girl, every other guy, and a grand old right and a left go around. Stop when you get back home, and when you're there, those sides pass the ocean. Extend, swing through, boy run, then Ferris wheel, centers hold on, California twirl, step to a wave, relay the doozy. Eyed red, she ain't no fool, she can put a saddle on a humpback mule, go in and out around and go, relay the doozy again. The tail popping off, swing through, AC doozy, swing your partner, stop at home, sides up to the middle, then come on back, past the ocean, extend, relay the doozy. It's the only one I know. Oh, yeah, she had one big breast in the middle of her chest and an eye in the middle of her nose. So says, if you look her in the eye, you better off looking up her nose. Swing through here. AC doozy. Boy running down the girl. bend your line up to the middle and back. Pass the ocean, relay the doozy. And a raccoon tail got a ring around and the possum's tail is bare. A rabbit ain't got no tail at all, just a little hunk of hair. Swing through, acey-doocy. Boy, run around, girl. Bend your line, star through. Centers roll the face back out of there now. Are you home? Head boys or side boys do something over head girls. Anyway, that's I couldn't think of that. Dadgum raccoon tail got a ring around. The possum tail is bare.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Do you need a square, Deborah? No. Okay, dancers, sit down. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you, Flip, for that. It's just you like relay to Doocy, huh? Okay, Deborah's going to talk about some of the aspects of cadence calling. Then I'm going to get up and I'm going to work with some pattern music. I'm going to show you how I personally teach cadence calling.
I think the reason that we're highlighting cadence calling a little bit more, I didn't really know what to call it. To me, it was just what callers were supposed to sound like, and I wasn't hearing that anymore, and I missed it. There's something about dancing with that rhythmic voice that just tells you also where to put your feet down. Now, you know, if you've been in the military at all, they do cadence call and cadence marching and this sort of thing. And what I was thinking of, last one that I had heard was where they got you out marching in the what do you call the leader guy? What do you call him? The drill sergeant. Thank you very much. I was not in the military. So he's out there and he's going, I don't know, but I've been told. But Navy wings are made of gold. I don't know, but it's been said. Air Force wings are made of lead. Now, obviously, sound off. 1, 2, 3, through. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All righty. And obviously, that little rhyme would not be sung by a group of Air Force cadets, okay? I think they would switch those two. But that's a cadence that a lot of people are familiar with, and that's why we called it chanting, and then we had some callers who are not chanters and not cadence callers saying, oh, it's like old-timey calling. And I don't like that, because that sounds like it's gone out of style, and it's no good anymore. And I think that's something that we need to hang on to. Now, when alternative music came out, it began to get popular. Some callers, especially those who had computers, those of us that were still using vinyl, we didn't have that opportunity very much. But they started putting all this music on computers, and they would come out and they'd have this very exciting, wonderful music. And CALLERLAB had a dance one night and that had to do with everything was going to be alternative pattern music. Boy, I was there in a heartbeat. I wanted to see this stuff rock and roll. And I walked out of there very, very disappointed because there was only one caller on the program who I felt was calling with her music. Everybody else was just talking. And that to me is not calling. And the caller who was working the music, working with the music, and intermingling and intermeshing her voice and her choreography with the music was Chris Jensen. And it was so pleasant to listen to her and dance to her. So when we started talking about how can we teach this again, it was just something that, like Marshall said, he picked it up from JC. It was everybody sounded like that when John started calling. And the guy who taught me to call, Skip Stanley, he had a cadence and a melodic delivery to his voice. And so of course, what do we do when we first start learning to call? We get a record and we kind of copy what it sounds like, or we start trying to copy the caller that's teaching us. So in that way, I had an ear for it just naturally, and it just sounded right to me. But I was always listening for those little rhymes because I'm not the best poet in the world. So I couldn't remember that one about the tail popping off to save my life. That's why I kept trying to get Marshall to say it again. And that's one of the reasons why we wrote these down. I used to have my own notebook in my briefcase when we carried briefcases instead of wheelie carts for our stuff. And I would write them down. If I heard a caller say something, possum on a fence post, chicken on a rail, get your honey and everybody sail. Boy, I couldn't wait to go get my purse and write that down. Now, I couldn't go out the next time I called and use that because I didn't own it yet. I had to practice it and practice it and practice it until I could get my mouth wrapped around whatever the rhyme was. Marshall's rhymes are hilarious, but for me as a caller to deliver them, they're too long. All right, I can't spit them out. And I can't do the auctioneer, the record, The Auctioneer. And on that CD that somebody got last night, there she is in the back with it in her hot little hand. He talks about how he learned to do the auctioneer. Because auctioneers are not born, they're made. And he said he slowed everything way down. And he would get the rhyme and he would practice and say it slowly over and over. Then he would speed it up a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more until he finally got that very fast, precise delivery. I love how it sounds. I wish I could do it, but I get so far and my brain and my tongue just go tilt and they won't cooperate. So for me, I can't do those really long, involved, really rapid rhymes. But I do have a few that I really like. One of the ones that's in here that was one, and I have to tell you, I stole it from another caller. I heard Johnny Preston say, square through in the middle of the track and I make your feet go wickety-whack. And I went, that's mine. And I went down and wrote it down, and practiced it a little bit. Because it makes you sound more like a caller. Now, for me, the reason that is so important, if you get up in front of a group of dancers, maybe they don't know you, maybe you're new starting out, and you sound like a caller, what happens to their confidence in you? It goes up, does it? And they will let you lead them through the choreography. But if you get up there and you don't sound like a caller, you only sound like a talker, their confidence in you goes down. And Marshall has a way of making people dance 5 levels above their head. He just leads them through it so easily. And the first time that I ever went and danced to you, my dear, when you were in California, I went to one of his dances. It was a plus level dance. You could hardly move in the hall. It was absolutely jam-packed. And he was calling things that I knew every single person in that hall could not do. I'd never seen him do it for anybody else or never seen it done anywhere else. But he had a way with the rhythm of his voice and the right words at the right time to where he just led them through it. And afterwards, I went up to another caller, and a caller who'd been calling about as long as I had at that point in time, which was probably about 3 years. And I grabbed a hold of his vest, and I said, why won't they do that for me? And so I started listening to this style and the helper words and that lovely lilting, rhyming delivery that leads the dancers into enjoying the choreography even more than they would, or actually being able to perform it better than they should be able to perform it. So when you get a piece of music, how many of you like to call to alternative music? I do. How many of you like to call to traditional music? I do. In my opinion, as an accredited caller coach, if you can't chant to a piece of regular pattern music, typical traditional hoedown music, you have no business dinking around with alternative music because you haven't learned really how to call to the regular real stuff. When you can deliver that, then you can take that skill and apply it out in alternative music, and you will be in front of the band. When John and Marshall learned to call They were all live bands. Am I right, guys? Okay, there was no recorded music. Well, the band didn't lead the caller. The caller led the band. And just because this music is recorded doesn't mean that we should hide behind it. We still need to be out in front of the music and leading it. Now, I'm going to give you an example of it's kind of a combination piece here. This is a piece of contemporary music. You can buy it. I bought mine on vinyl, and then I put it on an MP3 file. It's by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. I love them. And the name of this record is Bluesberry Hill. Some of you may have it, all right? So let me get this started. Let me slow it down a little bit here. That sound kind of traditional. This is the typical instrumentation, a good boom chuck rhythm. Okay. I can call to this until the earth blows up. Love this piece of music. Bow to the partner corners, all circle left, go south, y'all. Element left with your left hand, a partner right and a right on left grand. Promenade a girl, gonna get along home you do. 1 and 3, right, left through. How many of you think I'm singing my patter? Okay, a couple people think, well, aren't you singing it? Isn't that what you're doing? You're not, well, you're not chanting, you're singing. There are so many different notes within this piece of music that you can choose as a harmonic. There's not a lead melody that means it's a song. All right, it's just bluegrass jamming kind of stuff that they're doing. I will try to show you the difference now between what I believe I would be singing my patter versus chanting my patter. All right? Okay. Bow to the partner and the corner two. Join hands, circle left around you do. Alabama left your corner, then right and left grand. Grand right and left around the ring. When you get back home, the head pair do a right or left through. Do you hear the difference between singing and chanting? Okay. To me, the chanting is more staccato. All right? And the singing, when we sing, we make most of our sound on the vowel. And we tend to stay on the vowel because that's where the sound is coming from. But in square dance chant calling and cadence calling, you have to put the ending consonants quickly on those words. And it becomes more of a staccato delivery, even though I am melodic with that piece of music. Does that make any sense at all? Okay, some heads are going, some are going, It might be a fine line, but that's what I interpret as the difference between. Now I'm going to play a little piece of, the next one is on gramophone productions, and it's called The Black Horse and the Cherry Tree. Okay? Some people have actually just gone ahead and bought a karaoke version of this and used that. But Joe Cromer did put this out on gramophone. See, the lead is out. The lead song. That's the song. So if I'm going to call to it. Bow to the partner, corner two, circle left, all A to view. Allemande left your corner, promenade and don't stop, don't slow down, you keep on trucking. Heads wheel around and a right left through. With a half sachet, past the ocean, and a right left grand around, you run grand right and on left you go. So that's a piece of alternative music, but could you hear my chant? The cadence that goes with it. Okay. Now there are some pieces of music that just, and I don't know if this happens with you guys or not, but some pieces of music I don't want to call anything but smooth flowing choreography. That's just what the music is leading me to do. And there's one here that's on solid gold. It's actually the rhythm track of a wonderful singing call, which we also own. And it's called River Hoedown. Oh, do I love this. Thank you, dear. The song is, there's a deep silent river flowing just beyond, and its waters are deep and wide. For me the right-hand star when time from where you are. Okay, that's the song. But this piece of music doesn't have that lead in it. It's just the rhythm track and the chords. So you have all kinds of harmonics to choose from. Well, bow to the partner and the corner too. Alum and left your corner, Alamo style, or right to your honey and balance. Swing through, forward two, take time to balance. Swing through, forward two, and a right or left grand. Now this music just, I don't want to get to a point where I'm going, heads lead right, touch 1/4 in the center's trade, and the center's run. Now bend the line, pass through with a whip. I've gotten too complicated. And what happened to my cadence? It kind of faded away. I became a talker at that point in time, which is okay. We're not saying don't ever talk. But if you can start a piece of music sounding like a caller and end your tip sounding like a caller, you have added such a huge enjoyment to the dancer's experience out there on the floor. That's your job as the leader of the music. I will do, here's a piece of non-traditional music that I usually only like to use when I'm calling advanced, mainly because it's just so different and it sets a certain mood, and I want them to know that we're going to get serious and there's going to be some heavy choreography coming their way. All right. Nope, wrong one. There we go. And this one I don't do a lot of chanting to. The music is so powerful. Bow to the partner, and the corner 1, 2. Heads wheel through, swing through, grand right and left. Okay, so that's a piece of music that is non-traditional, that I probably do more talking to than chanting on almost anything that I have. Sometimes if you can find a piece of very good music in off-the-wall places. This one I happened to find at a Cracker Barrel on a bluegrass CD, and I loved it. I haven't been able to find it since because other people have said, oh, I sure do like that. I've given them the title of it, but I haven't been able to find it for them. This is called Mabel's Boogie. This is good music. Well, I'll jump up and never come down. Circle left around that town. Do an Alabama left your corner. Then swing your own and promenade. Take a letter by the hand and get along home you go. Okay? That's a nice piece of music that to me, yes, it was quote-unquote non-standard as far as not being a square dance label, but it was. And here is the last one I'm going to show with you before I turn it back over to Ken. This was given to me by a round dance leader who said, have you ever thought about this particular round dance as square dance pattern music? And I went, no. I do now. It's one of my favorites, and it's one of the ones that dancers love. Wait, okay, turn it up then. I'm going to start it over, okay? It started. Last night, Shaw. Now, there's a guy singing there. There's vocals going on there, okay? If I've got somebody that's doing vocals on the music, I want to make sure it's not a lady whose voice is in the same timbre as mine, because the dancers need to hear me. Okay? All right. Turn that down, John. I'm going to go down and grab a piece of music where the singer's voice is very close to mine. And I love it. I would love to be able to use this piece, but wait till you hear her voice. Go ahead. Turn it up. There we go. You can't tell where I am, can you? Okay? Because her voice and my voice are too close together. So, as much as I love that, I've made the choice not to use that. Instead, I use Royal Records' remix of that song. And it's called Rigga-Digga Royal Remix. All right. And I'll play that just a little bit and you can hear it. Here we go. It's a little bit different, but it's still the same song. And when it starts, there are no vocals. And yet I still have that great music behind me. We'll bow to the partner corners, all circle and go round the hall. Okay, so it's still got that cha-cha Caribbean feel, which is always nice to do if you're doing a theme dance that has that. And I don't have to worry about fighting the girl for the lead. Okay? All right. Ken.
Yeah. And Flippo said he's going to get all that kind of music, start using it.
Oh, yeah. This one, too.
And I do not use Deborah's music. We don't trade music because I don't like that stuff. And I'm not comfortable with it. And so I don't. And I have always made my patter calling and my singing call totally sound different. I have seen callers doing, like Deborah was demonstrating, singing their patter, and you couldn't tell the difference between the patter and the singing call. It's all the same to me. So very distinct. Would you play a piece of music? Yeah. This is that Cracker Jack I was talking about. This is in the key of A. And as Flip said, you can make up some of your own words. Tell me where this is from. Fire on the mountain, run, boy, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Anybody know where that came from? The devil went down to Georgia. You can make up some of your own stuff. If courting in autos is your sport, trade it off for a Davenport. Flippo wrote that. And early I did dough passo and a little more dough and a chicken in the bread pan, pecking out dough, granny with your dog back, no child, no. How many of you call teacup chain? Huh? How many of you call teacup chain? I want to see hands. Okay? Some of you don't. That's okay. How many of you say all the words that go with the teacup chain? Oh, great. There's 3 of you that do. Here's the way it was written. Head, lady center with a teacup chain. Side to the head, man, turn this chain. Head, lady center, and star in the round. A turn and a quarter with a little finger out. Head, lady center with a teacup chain. Sides to the right, and you turn that chain. Head, lady center with a 3/4 chain. And here she comes, and let's turn your chain. Walk all around the left-hand lady. Buy the book. It's in the book.
The handout that you have gives you a working formula for how to start learning to chant. I broke it down into several steps. One of the very first things you need to do is get a piece of music that you like, traditional type music, and listen to it until your ears bleed. You need to know every time a chord is going to change, every time a new instrument is going to come in to be highlighted, so that you know that music backwards and forwards. Then you start taking these steps that are in the handout.
Okay, can you, I want Up the Creek. So, as I get asked over and over and over and over again every year, how do you learn cadence calling? I'll show you how I teach it, how I learned it. Some of you may already do it. I'll do traditional music and I'll do non-traditional music. But basically, I pick a piece of music. Remember what I said earlier? If we understand our pattern music as well as we understand our singing calls, our tips would be even that much more entertaining. Go ahead, put on, what do you got, Up the Creek? There you go. Okay, I don't personally have this pattern music, but I'm just going to listen to it. Can you raise it a little louder, John? Every piece of music is telling you something. Now it's going to change. Normally, it's going to go through a series of 8-beat musical phrases, sort of a question and then an answer, and a question and an answer. It's going to change. And the idea is you need to know when these musical beats change. It just changed. Did you hear it change? A little bit louder, John. Okay, stop the music for a minute. Good. Now, I may start practicing da-da-da or whatever. To me, it's da-da-da. To you, it might be dee-dee-dee. I'm not worried about choreography. But the next step that I try to do is I try to put some words to it. Okay, I just hit this. All right. And I'm not going to worry about choreography. I'm not going to really call choreography. You don't worry about resolution in choreography. Hey, up to the middle and I come on back. Up to the middle and I come on back. Alamana left with your left hand. Alamana left with your left hand. With your left hand. Notice how I said with your left hand. Da-da-da-da-da. There's a rhythmic flow here. I didn't say Alaman left with your left hand. Meet your partner right and left. Grant. Do you want to dance all night to somebody who talks like that? No, you don't. You don't want to be a caller that sounds like that either. So I said, Alaman left with your left hand. D-D-D-D-D. I let the words flow. Okay? I'll just start practicing some more. I may just practice Alaman left with your left hand 100 times. Alaman left with your left hand, with your left hand, with your left hand, and the partner meet and a right out of grand, and a right out of grand, and a right out of grand. Notice I'm saying and a right out of grand, da-da-da-da-da. I'm not saying with a right and left grand. This is how we take baby steps to start practicing our cadence. Now, I certainly don't know all the old-time sayings by the book. There's a lot of that, but sometimes there's not enough time to put all that in there. But you can certainly practice some of the key phrases. Well, up to the middle, then I come on back. Pass through and a wheel and deal. In the middle to the right or left through. Slide through, square through 3. In the middle of the lane, and I get to the corner. And I get to the corner. Da-da-da-da-da. Element left with your left hand. The partner meet and a right or left grand. And a right or left grand. And a right or left grand. Element left to an element dar. Go forward to and to make your star. Bend in the middle, make an element dar. Shoot the start of the heavens world. The right and the left and the second little girl. Then wheel in, got an element dar. Now some people will say, oh, I can't do all that. Oh, that's exhausting. My dancers aren't going to understand what I'm doing. Can you put it on Bluesberry Hill? Again, I think I have this, but I don't know if it's called that. Might be called something, I don't know. So what I'm trying to convey is how to practice cadence. You don't have to worry about choreography if you're going to practice your pattern. I don't care about resolution. Okay, you got it, dear? Thank you. We're going to leave some time for questions, too. Yeah. This one certainly changes. Now, if the music's going, you're not supposed to be going, oh, you're supposed to try to learn your music. Now the man left with a corner here and a right left grand. Well, the grand go by the left to go round. Notice how I changed my pattern to fit the music. And the man left with your left hand, the partner meet a right and left grand, the grand go by and left. Okay, can you give me Boogie Beat? How many have Boogie Beat? This was one of the first pattern records that sort of came out when the industry realized that, the callers were starting to change to non-traditional music. This is a great one. Okay, can you start it over? Boom. you stop it? All right. Can you just put it back to the beginning without playing it? Can you do that? Okay. How many even understand on a pattern music that there's what we call intro beats? Okay. Let's count how many intro beats are on this. Go ahead. Boom. Okay. Anyone understand what it means to give the first beat of the musical phrase to the dancers as opposed to taking it for yourself? Anybody not understand that? Okay, everybody understands that. Let's play it. Just play? Yeah. Okay, so and the boogie beat, how many own boogie beat? I'm going to use it on a regular basis. This is a good one. I don't use it on a regular basis. Okay, can you give me Last Night? I used Last Night. Yeah, the one you just did. This is a great one. It's a round dance. Okay, put this on. Right. Wheeling by the partner in the corner by the hall. Circle left to go around the hall. They're gonna circle left and then element left, make an element there. And around the left, they're gonna make your star. The man wheeling, got it on. I'm not saying element left like an element there, go forward to. I'm playing along with Last Night. This is a great song. Sometimes you get to certain parts of it in the song and you might just hit it just right. Slide through, square through three and down, then element and around the left grand, go! And I just let it go. I may be dancing on the stage a little bit. I know I'm jumping around fast. We want to leave time for questions. One more I want to show you. I want to show you the difference between using the downbeat and the upbeat. Taking the downbeat for yourself or taking the upbeat. Can you give me Up the Creek again? I have no problem getting up the creek. It's usually without a paddle either. All right. That's okay. So what I want to show you is the type of style that we do. Now, normally after I practice, don't start it yet, dear, thank you. Normally after I practice da-da-da-da-da or whatever I do, or I practice my element lefts to slide through, square through three to a right and left grand, and I start to throw choreography in there. But I don't think of the choreography as choreography I want to memorize or I want to call. I may say, heads past the ocean and relay the deuces. Oh, you can't do that from there. I go, I know. That's not the point. The point is when we practice cadence and practice our pattern music, we're more interested in putting a rhythmic flow, a rhythmic style, and everybody will have a different rhythmic style. There's some callers that just probably can't ever learn cadence. It's just the way it is. We all can't do everything in square dancing. But I'm going to show you the difference between the downbeat and the upbeat. Okay. Listen to that downbeat. We always have a boom and a chuck, and a boom and a chuck, and a boom and a chuck, and a boom and a chuck. Most of our style of calling is downbeat. Element left with your left hand and the partner mean and a right or left grand. Element left with your left hand and the partner mean and a right or left grand. All right? So I'll practice some downbeat calling, which is great. This is what we all do. Element left with your left hand, the partner mean and a right or left grand. And a grand do right and left to go around. Gotta meet your partner, gonna promenade. Okay? So this time, what if I don't want to element, I don't want to emphasize the element, the L, I want to emphasize the man instead of element left. I'm going to start on the upbeat. I lose my song.
I'm sorry. I didn't start. I'll do it again.
So there's a difference between saying element left with your left hand, the partner meet and a right or left grand. Element left with your left hand, the partner meet and a right or left grand. Element left with your left hand and a partner meet and a right or left grand. Notice how I'm emphasizing the upbeat. Now, I will do that. I'll say slide through, square through three, in the middle of the lane, and I get to the corner to the left element left, and right or left grand, and a grand, do right and left, and go. Now, you can't do you can't do a lot of it. You can't do it all night. I probably use the upbeat as maybe once every 3-4 months, 6 months. You can't keep that style up all night. And I'll have dancers come up to me and they'll say, what was that hiccuping thing you were doing? And they do. They call it hiccuping. They don't know. What's that? They don't know what it is. But you know what? It's part of my repertoire. It's part of understanding the difference between the downbeat of our pattern music and our upbeat. And I emphasize and I encourage you to try to do something different with your music. Try practicing the upbeat. Is it easy? No. But is it doable? Yes. All of this is part of what we need to do on stage. I can go on and on.
I'm going to put on a piece of music that it's an alternative piece of music, and I would love to be able to call to it, and I can't. And it took me a really long time to figure out why I just felt like I was really swimming upstream. And go ahead and put the volume up, dear. It's a long kind of an intro, and then it's going to go into more of a forward beat. It's transitioning right now. Anytime. The emphasis, the beat, is on the upbeat and not on the downbeat. And I can't call to that. I just can't. Maybe somebody who can flip back and forth between the upbeat and the downbeat style of calling can call cadence to that. I cannot, so I don't use it. But I keep it for that example.
Yeah, we're going to open it up for some questions now. We can go on and on about this. The rhythmic flow, the old sayings, I don't use a lot of them anymore. It isn't the nature of our beast, but they're there. And we're going to get you on questions. In fact, we're going to have to ask you to come up here because this thing is dead. It's not working. But Terry, come on up if you have a question. We have about 15 minutes or so, and there's a break, so we can go a few minutes longer if you want. Just tell us where you're from.
I'm Terry Scher from Palm Springs, California. And if you're looking for some alternative patter, see Vic Cedar, because he comes up some really cool stuff because he's working on some of that stuff. So.
Oh, there's a great bunch of music out there. I mean, every day there's more and more non-traditional music, a lot of good stuff. And I use a lot of non-traditional. But any other questions? Okay, come on up, Barry. I don't, unless you can get it to work.
Test.
There you go. Magic hands.
1, 2.
I wish I had that voice. Not anymore, not after the auction last night. You fleeced me pretty good.
Did you buy his gecko?
What did you get for that gecko? It was $166 or something. People kept buying his for 2 pipe cleaners and a pistachio hull. I couldn't believe it. People kept buying it, and then when they saw what it was, they gave it back. Said, "Sell it again." I was the last one to buy it, and I gave it to somebody else. My name is Barry Clasper. I'm from Toronto, and I'm chairman of the Challenge Committee, and that becomes important when you hear my question or my comment. This is really a comment. How many of you out there call any of the advanced or challenge programs or aspire to? There's a common fallacy that the kind of calling that these guys have been talking about, cadence calling, doesn't matter at advanced and challenge. They don't care about that kind of stuff. They don't care about dancing to the music, and they don't care whether your calling integrates itself with the music. Not true. Now maybe if you start talking about Ida Red and humpback mules and bingo and that kind of stuff on your promenades and right and left grands, you're going to get some funny looks out of a challenge floor. But the fact is, when you're calling and delivering your words, you need to be doing it with the music. You need to be able to put your command emphasis syllables where there's emphasis beats in the music, and you need to make your delivery sound like it's in concert with the music. And that's just as important at Advanced and Challenge as it is at Mainstream and Plus. So learn to do it with the Mainstream and Plus because it's harder at Challenge. At Mainstream and Plus and Basic, first of all, you got some of these rhymes that you can use to help you, get your words in the right place. And also the calls tend to be shorter. It's really hard to come up with spin, chain, and exchange the gears and think of things to say while they do that, unless you use one of these rhymes. And at Challenge, you can't call swing-alongs and things like that and have these rhyming cadences while they're doing it. So it's more important that you be able to listen to the music at Challenge and hear as you're about to deliver the call where the emphasis beats are and make sure that as you deliver the next call, it sounds like it belongs where it is in the music. So that's just my comment, and I thank you guys for the panel that you're doing here.
That's a good point. Notice that we never really brought up any particular program. We didn't say that, this is only adheres to Mainstream or Plus.
Do we have anybody in here who does not know how to chant? Well, what the hell are we doing in here for?
Mike's learning. He's a newer caller. Another newer caller right here. Yeah.
Julie's been doing it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Come up here.
The key is, as we wrap
May
up,
I?
is that it's practice. Oh, go ahead. You got a comment? Sure.
I'm going to tell you what to do. Everything. All right. Hum. Open your mouth a little bit. Bow to your partner.
Bow to your partner,
And that
call
same
her
note.
to.
No, just
No.
repeat after me. Bow to your partner. Bow to your partner.
Bow to your partner.
No, repeat after me. Don't try to say the same thing. You say it, I say it, then you say it. Bow to your partner.
Bow to your partner.
Corner two.
Corner two.
Circle left.
Circle left.
Element left.
Element left.
And a right and left grand.
And a right and left grand.
Keep talking. Buy the book. She sold a whole mess of these books over in Germany. Now, that's what it takes. You got to learn and memorize, put it in your memory, these rhymes and things of that nature. And a right and a left grand and a hand over hand and around you can go and meet your girl and you promenade. Say that. Hand over hand.
Hand over hand and the right and left grand.
Hand over hand and a right and left grand.
Hand over hand and the right and left grand. And meet your girl and you promenade.
2 by 2. Take her on home like you always do. Promenade. Go 2 by 2. Say that. Promenade. Go
2 by 2. Take her on home and always do.
Not easy, is it?
All it takes is practice. Golly.
But
And you sound really good in the shower.
But Julie's first language is not English.
German.
Her first language is German. So learning to rhyme in a second language is a whole nother journey. And when she came and asked about, this was before we actually had this book, and I said, go get a nursery rhyme book. So you can start learning what words in English rhyme, and you'll be able to start getting to where you can hear it. And because the different words rhyme in different languages. So
Mary had a little lamb, whose fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Don't tell me you can't do it. All you got to do, you got to work at it. It ain't going to get in this brain up here if you don't practice it.
The problem for me is I can start the chanting, but over the choreography building, I lose it. I lose it completely, and it's out the window.
Yeah, the key is it's you're going to lose it at times. This is not something you need to do 24/7 every second. That's not the point. The point is that you have a style of it, but there are going to be times, especially when you're starting the choreography, that it's going to sort of die away. Scott?
Scott Byers, Sacramento, California. One of the things that I did when I first started was I would run around and tape callers, and I spent hours a day just mimicking callers like Jon Jones, who would come into Sacramento, and I would tape them down. You didn't know that I did that. But I would tape callers, and I would just imitate them over and over and over again until I could I get every nuance. So that's how I did it.
And he probably sold those tapes, too, to somebody.
Last question, I think, here.
Just kidding.
Terry, come on up. You have a question, dear.
I was just going to say that when I first started trying to learn how to do some of this, I have a lot of records. They have a flip side that's called Called Side, and they do a lot of that on some of that. So that's a good way to learn some of it.
And there's some good patter records out, too.
I feel kind of like what Barry said. I know the higher level, I don't go much higher than level plus, but I do advanced and not very good. But I tend to start losing my chant when I get in a higher level. Now, I can do okay at the plus, but once it gets up there, I start finding myself just saying things. But I try to say them in rhythmatically type of thing, you know. But the chant and the filling words are gone, you know, once you get to a higher level.
Well, I'd like to thank one more question. Come on up, and then we're going to wrap it up here. Sure. There you go.
Just one final question for the panel as a whole. Fred
Who
Walker.
Who are you and where are you from?
Fred Walker, Illinois. I think it's important to mention too that this is just one of the many attributes of a truly entertaining caller, and if we're not careful with the cadence, Flip, we can end up delivering essential calls too late and mess up the smoothness of our dancing. So we're looking for a balance, aren't we? Wouldn't you say?
When Flip and I learned to call, the calls that we learned, everything we did was all from memory. From bow to your partner to bow to your partner at the end. Every line was written out. All the fill-in words were written after every call. Everything that was learning the poem all the way down. And that's the way we developed our timing in the whole bit. The fill-in words were put in there to make the timing come out correct so you wouldn't be too slow or too fast ahead of it. So that's how we learned to do all this stuff. It was all memory work.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and I had alluded very early to that this is just another small phase, or it's a large phase, of what makes us a professional square dance calling. You know, when you're standing on stage, it's everything. It's presentation, it's breathing, it's choreography, it's delivery, it's timing, it's body flow, it's cadence. It goes on and on and on. There's so much that you need to be doing all at the same time. And isn't easy. I'd like to thank my panel today, Mr. Marshall Flippo, Mr. Jon Jones, Mrs. Deborah Carroll-Jones. Thank you for your time, your attention.
And Ken Ritucci.
Thank you for your time and attention at this session. Enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you.